Hi guys, how are you? We're just gonna pick up where we left off last week. I had stopped recording, and that's my dog. I'm gonna start all over, so you might be hearing that. So last week left off on theories: old Earth, which is what people believe to be billions of years old; young Earth, where people believed it is 6,000 years old, give or take a few thousand years; and gap theory, where it's still billions of years old, but there is a gap between verse 1 and 2. It's all about perception and your belief, but we can all agree from verse 3 on, hey, Taz, we all believe the same thing. So, we're going to start here. I'm going to just read this for you really quick. And God said, let light come to be, and light came to be. And God saw the light, and that it was good. And God separated the light from the darkness. Notice that he did not eliminate the darkness. He just separated the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning one day. And that's when the earth begins its rotation. And we're just going to unpack this really quick before we move on. So the first thing he creates is light. And that makes sense, because otherwise he would have been creating in darkness. And, why? There's debate on exactly what the light was, because the sun, the moon, and the stars aren't mentioned until the fourth day. But if you just stick with me, I will show you what this means. So if you go to 1:16, the verse, let me just go there really quick. The verse says, and God made, which is Asa, made out of his existing materials. And God made two great lights, and the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. Okay, notice he didn't actually name the sun and the moon. He just calls it the great light and to rule the day, and the lesser light for the night. And that's because Adam, when he creates Adam is in charge of naming these things, and we'll get to that when we get to Adam. Anywho, you see that word made, that was translated from Asa, and we learned last week, that Asa means to make out of existing materials. So the existing materials means that the sun, the earth, and the stars were already made. And if you go to Job 38, chapter 38, verse 4 through 7, you'll see that this supports that. Okay, but we're going to come to that a little bit later. We're just going to, let me go back really quick to day 1. God divided the light from darkness, and he called and then the earth began to rotate. I'm sorry, I'm like reading ahead of my notes. At this point, the earth begins to rotate. We have a way to measure time now, and this is a 24-hour day from sunset to sunset. And if you look at my notes, we're just going to scroll because I'm not about to cut this forth. I deleted it. I'm so sorry. I'll just have to read it to you. So that word was taken evening. Right there, you see it says, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and there came to be evening. That word evening is taken from the Hebrew word Arab, and that means sunset. And this is why the Jews will begin the day at sunset, just from sunset to sunset. The week, we'll see later, is made of 7 days. It is 6 days, and then on the 7th day he rested. He called it holy, the Sabbath, and we are to observe the Sabbath. So that's how a measurement on God's timetable. Everything else can be measured astronomically. I don't know if I'm saying that word right, but the heavenly bodies, the sun, the moon, the way we orbit and rotate, that's all a measurement of time. God's timetable is the week. Okay? We've established that. So now we're going to go back to chapter 1, verse 6 through 8. And God said, let an expanse come to be in the midst of the water, and let it separate waters from waters. And God made the expanse and separated the waters which were under the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse. And so it came to be. And God called the expanse heavens, and there came to be evening and day, and that was, I believe, the second day. I know growing up reading that, I was like, oh, what? In the King James Bible, it says, let there be a firmament. So I think I erased that word too because my video had messed up and I just deleted it. Yeah. So I'm just going to have to read it to you from my notes. I'm sorry about that. So the second day, God created an atmosphere conducive for life. Remember in verse 2, the earth was formless and void. Darkness covered the earth, and God had to make the earth suitable for living habitation. So God created the light, and on the second day, God created an atmosphere conducive for life. The word firmament means in Hebrew, rakia, and that means expanse. So in the King James Bible, it says firmament. Some Bibles say space, and that's actually correct, space. But it means expanse and to spread out. Okay, in mine it says expanse. Came to be in the midst of the waters, in the middle of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. If you change that word expanse to space, okay, let a space come to be in the middle of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. And God made Asa out of existing materials, the space, and separated the waters which were under the space from the waters which were above the space. And it came to be so. That's still confusing, okay? The space separated the waters, a space of air. Basically, he was making an atmosphere of oxygen and surrounding the earth, and above that oxygen is a canopy of water, a water vapor, as you will. Let me show you a picture. This is a crude picture. I'm sorry. That's my skills. So look there. You see the earth. You see that little water vapor around it. That's the atmosphere. Then there's a space, a firmament, an expanse. Okay? Outside of that, the other waters that was separated. So that used to be all water. And then he made that firmament, a space, an expanse between. And that's like what we see is we know as outer space. Okay? I know. It's like, you didn't know you're coming to science. Which I do have to tell you really quick. I'm not trying to get off course, but I want to show you something that is really going to blow your mind. The Bible is not a science book per se, but it doesn't contradict science. You know, it doesn't, it's, God knew what he was doing. Look, this is how rain happened, guys. It's in the Bible. It tells you how rain works. You can pause and read that and just awe in that, okay? Where do you think these scientists got this information from? They saw it in the Bible first, okay? And then they made their hypotheses and theories and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to just delete that, okay? Anyways, let's go back. Sorry, I just lost track. Okay, so let me go back here. This creates an atmosphere like a greenhouse, a beautiful, lush earth. This vapor canopy waters the earth through a nice humidity, evaporation, and condensation package. It also protects and filters the harsh rays from the sun, contributing to greater health and longevity. So people, this is why they lived longer back in the day. They had better health, longevity. They lived to be like 700 to 900 years old. If you go to Noah, you'll see like it never really rained before because they didn't need rain. They had this canopy of water right there, the atmosphere around the earth. And so I'm sure when Noah was building this ark, they were like, you're nuts. What are you talking about, rain? What are you talking about, water is coming from the sky? Okay? The earth was in this canopy. People lived longer. Probably why, this is why they thought he was nuts, okay? Scholars believed it was this precipitation that caused the flood. All right? So that atmosphere, he opened up the sky and he dropped it on earth and we got the flood. And do we have that canopy now? Nope, it's gone because he emptied it out onto the earth. Okay, and that's why we don't live as long. That's why we're not it's not really filtered out. We've got our 3 to 6 atmospheres that we got now. They're smaller, but they don't have that water canopy. Okay, and we have rain all the time now because it's coming from the other waters. Or however science works. I don't know. I'm not saying the other waters. I'm sorry. Back that up. We got rain now. Okay. I also want to talk about this atmosphere because there's 3 heavens. Okay, remember how I said earlier about heavens was plural? We would get to it. The first heaven is what Jesus refers to as the birds of heaven is our atmosphere. That is where the first heaven is. The second heaven refers to outer space. In the book of Psalms, the book of Proverbs, they talk about the stars of heaven, which are not in our atmosphere, guys. Our sun's not in our atmosphere. It's out there in space. That's the second heaven. And the third heaven is where God dwells. If you go to 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 2, you will see that Paul says, I know a man in Christ who 14 years ago was caught up to the third heaven, which is where, okay, I actually have that. Hold on. I know a man in Messiah who 14 years ago, whether in body I do not know, or the outer body I do not know, God knows. Such a one was caught up to the third heaven. This is when Paul was stoned outside the city and he came back to life and he's like, I don't know if my body went. I don't know if my soul, my spirit went. I just know I was in heaven, in the third heaven where God dwells, and I'm back and only God knows. Okay, so this is, I'm not blaspheming. This is scripture, as you see right there. Okay, moving along. So that is why when the Bible talks about heaven, we need to figure out which one is being referred to. Now, most of the time, it's the third heaven. But in this one, in chapter 1, verse 8, it refers to the first heaven. So let's go back. And God called the expanse heavens. And there came to be evening and day next day. So we're going to day 3 now. Whew, trucking along. Up to this point, water covered the entire earth. When he divided the earth from heavens, it still was covered in water. So the third day, he let the waters under the heavens be gathered together. Note that he called the seas plural, so there was more than one body of water where the waters gathered. It wasn't one huge ocean. How did the land appear? Yes, if you go to Psalms 104, verse 5 through 9, it explains it in detail, and I think I do have that. Let's just go there for you. He established the earth on its foundations so that it would not totter forever. You covered it with the deep as with a garment. The water stood above the mountains. Your rebuke they flee, and your voice, your thunder, they hurry away. They go up to the mountains, they go down to the valleys, to the place which you founded for them. You did set a boundary, they did not pass over. So that means he, at his command, and like a voice like a thunder, the mountains rose, the waters resided, and the valleys appeared. That is how that came to be. I'm just going to delete that because we don't need that anymore. And the less photos I have, the more I can just scroll through these, okay? All right, we're over here. So, now, the physical structure is complete. God set up and created the earth to be inhabited. And that is in Isaiah 45:18. I don't know why I just went over there when I could have just come back. For thus said Yahweh, creator of the heavens, he is the Most High God, former of the earth and its maker. He established it. He did not create it to be empty. He formed it to be inhabited. I am Yahweh, and there is none else. Okay, so he set this up to be, I'm just going to delete, guys, because I just don't need the trouble. All right. The creation of plant life is not created out of nothing. Okay, God does something very unusual here and only does it one time. He doesn't do it any other time, and I don't think it's right here. So I don't think I put it here, so I'm just going to read it to you real quick out of my Bible. Oh, because I didn't take a picture. And it says, and God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the plant that yields seeds, and the fruit trees that yield fruit, according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth. And it came to be so. And the earth brought forth grass, the plant that yields seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, and on the third day, that was the third day. Okay? This is important because we're going to get into a little bit of science again. The word dasha, to bring forth. So this is something that God does. It's very unusual. He empowers the earth with generative powers, a generative capacity to bring forth on its own the vegetation and a seed of its own kind. Everything, the plants, the grass, the trees. Yes, it is still by God's command. God still he's still, it's still by his design, but he gave the earth generative powers and capacity. It's the only time he does that. Why is it different from man? Because the earth caused the vegetation to shoot forth at God's command. But from going forward, he doesn't do that anymore. He creates or makes. The Hebrew word dasha, to bring forth, is written in the hyphal stem, which is causative. Translated literally, it would read, let the earth cause vegetation to shoot forth. The earth caused the vegetation to shoot forth at God's command. Again, from that point on, all creation or life forms will be created by God alone. Why is this different? Why does God create or make life forms, but here God commands the earth to bring forth vegetation? Well, what separates us from plants? What separates animals from plants? Pneuma, life, breath, spirit. So that is why. Each plant has its own seed and can reproduce on its own kind. Okay? So now we're going to get to the nitty-gritty, the so-called contradiction. Day 4. The Bible states on the fourth day, the sun, the moon, and the stars were created. Is there a discrepancy? Well, no. Okay. First of all, let's read this. And God said, let lights come to be in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and appointed times and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth. And it came to be so. And God made also out of existing materials, that's important, 2 great lights, and the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. And God set them in the expanse of the heavens, and give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the fourth day. So people were like, the sun and the moon and the stars were made on the fourth day. What is the other light? You can't say it was made on the first day. It contradicts itself. Okay, let's unpack. Job 38, 4 through 7. Let's start there, okay? Let me get over there. Sorry. I'm going to go ahead and delete that so we don't have to worry about that. All right, did I say 38? Where were you when I had laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if you have understanding. Who set its measurements, if you know? Or who stretched the line upon it? Upon where were its foundations sunk? Or who laid in its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Okay? Are you shitting me? You know what? Sometimes I curse, and we're just going to ask for forgiveness. I'm sorry. I'm human, okay? I'm human. Excuse my language. It happens. Okay. Anyways, this is you see that Kokab, stars in the sky, that means the stars have their own frequency. They sing, okay? This shows that the stars were in the sky when he was making creation. Okay? They were there. So how does that compute? Okay, that actually makes it more confusing. Well, if you go back to the words, because words are important, and God said, let lights, Mayor, come to be in the expanse of the heavens. Okay, so what is Mayor? What does it mean? Well, or is light. That's the or is from the actual beginning on the day one. And God said, "Let light come to be," and the light came to be. That's in verse 3. Okay? Or that's translated from light, but that is a root word. May or has a prefix. The or has a prefix ma. I'm sorry, ma or. And ma means placed location. Okay, so if you go back to here, let Mayor, it means let's place the lights to be an expanse of heavens. So if you go to the original text, it says, I don't know if it's Mayor or Maor. I think it's Maor. It means let's place the lights, meaning they were already there. They were already created. He's just fixing them into place. So it does not contradict itself. Okay? And then 16, it reinforces it. And God made also out of pre-existing materials, meaning they were already there, 2 great lights. And the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. So they were already made. They were created on the first day. He just fixed them into place. All the stars, each star, a sun, the moon, all the stars, he fixed them into place while God laid the foundation or the cornerstone. Okay? It already existed on the first day. He didn't create the sun and the moon and the stars on the 4th day. The scripture doesn't say that he did. It says he fixed them into place. Because the word has been translated, something is lost in translation. Okay? Ma is a prefix, and it is a locative prefix. God is placing these lights in a specific location in space. He isn't creating them. He's placing them on the 4th day. He designated their place. They already existed from day 1. So, and 17, and God set them. This reinforces that. He set them into place. Set is from the Hebrew word nathan. Let me go there real quick. Let me delete this so we don't have to deal with that anymore. Nathan, to place in specific location. Okay? So that is how it is not contradictory. He set every heavenly body in its specific spot. This is also why the Big Bang Theory is so contradictory, because the Big Bang, light is more lights made. It doesn't make sense. That's why I don't believe in the Big Bang Theory. It just does not make sense. I'd like to mention too that God doesn't name these things. When God creates Adam is responsible for naming everything. Can you just fathom Adam's capacity to use all of his brain to name and remember all that he named and be able to recall it? Can you just imagine? That's crazy, right? I'm going to go ahead and delete this too. We're just going to, get what we get out. Anyways. By not naming them, he established that they are inanimate objects, not gods, and they are not to ever be worshipped in any way, in any form. Nothing in nature is to be worshipped. Notably, just because God gave the earth power to bring forth vegetation, doesn't mean that it should be worshipped. It was still given that power by God's command. This earth was created for us, we weren't created for the earth. The earth was created for us. We weren't created for it. And we are supposed to take care of it, but we're not supposed to be ruled by earth. Okay? That's super important too. This is where you get all your paganism from. I'm just going to go forward. I think I've gone through everything. Okay, yeah. I'm just going to go here so you can see that while I'm talking. This is where we get the paganism for, where people are worshiping the earth, like Mother Earth, all this stuff, because earth did bring forth and cause vegetation on its by command of God, but they think that it did it by its own, that she did it on its own. No, by God's command. Nothing is done but by God's command. Okay? And then we get all of the sun worshiping, the moon worshiping. It's just, no. We are not to worship nature. We are not to worship the sun. We are not to do this. This is where I'm going to stop. I have, we're going to probably next week unearth the rest of creation. And then on our timetable after creation, we're going to go to the Garden of Eden and the fall. And then I'll probably at that point start doing some daily application, or not daily, but weekly application as best I can. But hopefully I've explained this as best that I am able. My pronunciation isn't that great. I'm not a big talker. I like getting to the point. I like getting to the point as quick as I can. Sorry about the cursing. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.